Well, hi there, welcome to the channel. I'm going to say my name's Dan, and today basically, I was going to say I've got the other half of the ash which we turned yesterday basically, and as you can see, it's just half a log. Okay, it's just half a log. It's not going to bother me too much because I'm going to use the 1/2 inch bowl gouge basically to turn in this piece, and it'll make light work of these corners. So before I begin turning this piece basically, I've got no idea basically what we're going to turn it into. I'm just literally turning a little bit blind at the moment. We're about 11 inches, okay? Yeah, 11 inches, which is 27¼ inches, basically. Well, 27¼ centimeters, sorry. And it's not very wide, so we're just 2½ inches. So basically, we're going to try and narrow this down and see what we can turn it into. Ash is one of my favourite types of timber to turn. But I was going to say, yesterday I was on and we turned a beautiful ash bowl. Now, I do have some things to turn with ash really, so but I've got a few pen blanks to turn which I've never turned before, so I'm going to hopefully try and experience with turning something different really, other than bowls and platters and vases, etc. So but if you are new to my channel, the same, my name's Dan. You can say anybody who wants to get involved in the live, don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe. Makes the live a bit more engaging. So I have got the piece secured on the faceplate, so I'm going to start off at 95 and we're just going to gradually build up and just see how that wood behaves. So we're going to probably get up to about 400 or 500 to start with. Okay, we're about 400 there. Okay, we'll leave it just there for the tad. We'll just leave it there for the tad and we'll see how we get on. Just want to ensure everything's locked and loaded, so and off we go. Enough talking, let's get turning. Right, okay, let's get turning. Okay, I've got no idea what I'm turning this into as of yet, but I'm going to see how we get on with this and see how the wood actually behaves. Now, with any type of timber that I'm used to turning, basically, everything just teaches me a lesson, whether or not that's to do with my tool placements, my technique, etc. I've been wood turning for around about 2 years, and yeah, I'm just improving with every piece I put on the lathe, basically. This isn't a tutorial by any means, it's just a demonstration, really. About some of the things that we can turn and create on a wood lathe. I was going to say, but if anybody's got any questions, don't forget to drop them in the comments. That does, well, it does make the live a bit more engaging. And but yeah, we turned a beautiful ash bowl yesterday, and as you can see, I've not knocked the corners off this because it's going to make light work using the bowl gouge basically. And we'll just take these corners off. We'll try and get it in some kind of shape really, and take it from there. But yeah, today in Wales it's very gloomy. It's very dark. It's very unpredictable weather at the moment, so we can't expect much this time of year. So spinning that thing on me, let's go. Exactly. I've got 100 people in the room already. 100 people in the room already. Welcome everybody. So I did jump on yesterday, but being a Sunday, I think everyone was having a day of rest. And yeah, it's a very quiet live, let's just say that. So, but yeah, if anybody's tick, 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 exactly. Yeah, it's you can say it's ash is quite a dense wood. It's one of our native woods here in Wales. It's very, very hard, very, very dense, and does take a bit of beating to get through it. So, but yeah, so I've been woodturning a couple of years. I'm practically self-taught. So, but yeah, if anybody wants to follow my journey on YouTube, I've been set up the account probably 10 or 11 weeks ago now, and we've reached nearly 3,500 subscribers. So if you'd like to see me improve as a woodturner, see how things are made, etc., don't forget to support the channel. It is free, and hopefully we can try and get to nearly 3,500. And but yeah, my aim to come onto YouTube is to demonstrate. Really, it's not a tutorial. It's just to basically show you kind of how I do my wood turning and what I can make really. And I don't just turn bowls, I turn platters, turn vases, turn decorative items, key rings. I'm going to be start turning into things like pens, rings. We're going to start trying to turn a bit of epoxy in the new year. So if you'd like to see how I get on with that, really, it's going to say it's yeah, supporting the channel is free, and every time I jump online with an update, post, or turning up live, etc., you'll be notified as soon as I get online. So, but yeah, as I say, this we're getting it in some kind of form at the moment, some kind of shape. You can see I'm starting to create that flow around, really, like a natural piece, really. I didn't really want any square edges. I have recently turned some exotic woods from Africa, which is yeah, taught me a lesson. Taught me a lesson, gave me an incredible headache. But yeah, we live and learn, don't we? We live and learn. So, but I'm still using a 1/2 inch bowl gouge here from Crown, and I probably will delve into a few other tools, basically, which are at my disposal there. So, but yeah, we're going to crack on. We're going to crack on. So, once I get into some kind of shape, we'll tackle the corners, okay, and the sides, and then hopefully we can try and get into some kind of shape, and then see what we can turn it into. See what we can turn it into. Right, we're going to be there. We just move this down. Up. There we are. Don't get too close. There we are. There we are. If anybody's got any questions, drop them in the comments. Hi Kurt, welcome to the live, buddy. Welcome to the live. We're running at 400 revolutions per minute at the moment, so we will probably get up to about 700 or 800 and take it from there, really. So we'll just see how we get on with it. We'll see how we get on with it. Every time I start the lathe, you stand back. You stand back instead, because if that piece thinks about coming off at that speed, it's quite dangerous. So we'll just gradually speed up. 500 reps, okay? 500. That's scary. Can be. It can be. I turned a piece very recently, which is 12 inches by 5 inches, and it was a big, big chunk. It's actually on the channel if you want to go check it out. That was scary. That was scary. Not just because of its size, but because of its mass, its weight. So it's yeah, I've had bowls explode. I've had bowls explode on the lathe, which it was actually a piece of pine. And it had a hairline fracture actually in the piece, and I didn't see it. And I was basically, I actually turned the bowl. It wasn't until I started sanding the bowl down. I think the friction of the heat mixed with the soft wood, because pine is soft, yeah, exploded with my hand inside the bowl. Bruised my hand, but I was very lucky that I had my PPE on. So exactly, 100%, 100%. And say we're only about halfway in speed at the moment, so we will speed up a lot faster than this. You'll realise when it's going incredible speed, because it looked like it'll be running backwards, not forwards, but like a car wheel when you drive down the motorway. And yeah, and it looks like the wheels going backwards. Very, 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 very similar. Very similar. I was very lucky. I was very lucky. most important things about wood turning is your safety. Is your safety, I'm going to say, because you can get incredibly hurt if you're not careful. And I'm going to say that's why we wear face shields, and obviously we wear nothing with long sleeves. I'm going to say we never wear any jewellery. Say because anything could quite easily get caught, rip your finger off, so or send you to hospital. So it's but yeah, as you say, it's you've got to always be careful on a lathe, always. So what I'm going to do basically, I'm going to bring this tool rest basically onto a. You see here at the bottom we've got the banjo, okay, and we've got the tool rest, okay. So I'm going to bring it onto a 45-degree angle, and the reason why I want to do that basically because as it's coming round, because obviously it's spinning towards me, okay. What I'd like to do is come round the other way, okay, and actually push round. I was going to say it's got a push cut, and basically just going to try and remove a lot of this surface bark. I have left bark on pieces before, and yeah, and what happened was basically it turned into a beautiful piece. And what happened eventually, once the piece was completely dry and it was left in the window, and what happened, the bark became very brittle, and after so long, it just starts breaking off in bits, and you just ruin the aesthetics of the bowl. Exactly. It takes a lot of practice to do wood turning. Lots of practice. When I first began, I made an awful lot of mistakes, and I didn't just start on these tools. Okay, I started on carbide, which are nope, that's my ball scraper. Carbide. They have tips on the end, which obviously we can just replace. These we sharpen. These we replace. Just the tip. So they're just as sharp. I was going to say, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people start on carbide and then they move over to traditional tools. I use both. Depending on what I'm trying to turn, really, and what I'm trying to achieve. So it's but if you are new to the channel, I was going to say, don't forget to support the channel. It is free. I can only improve on YouTube. It's a brand new account, and yeah, nearly 3,500 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible. I can't thank you all enough. Massively appreciated. Massively appreciated. There's a tool market in here basically, which is not really evident from that angle, but it's like a ridge in the piece. So I'll clean that up now, and then we'll start working around the corners, okay, and start trying to get into a manageable size, okay. So I hope you enjoy the live. Yeah, I was going to say, I'll show you how a carbide tip works basically. These have got rubber grips on them down the bottom of the handle, okay, for comfort basically, for extra grip. How I did start were on these colourful ones, okay, and they do exactly the same thing, just I think these are a lot cheaper, okay, so that people begin. These are a full size set, so they're a bit bigger basically in length. It's just literally I've got the rod basically all the way out. So, but yeah, I'll show you how carbide works. So, bowl gouge has gone away. They'll cut just as neatly as a bowl gouge. Again, there's just still a technique to it. Okay, there's still a technique. it's getting a bit bumpy on this top end here. So I think what I'm doing is I'm running on the bark. Yes, I am running on the bark. So what I'd like to do is clean up this area here, because it's around about a tenon. Okay, put a tenon on the base here basically, so we can flip it around, literally grip the piece from the other end really and turn it around. Okay, so but yeah, I was going to say I've been woodturning a couple of years and I'm pretty much self-taught. So I had one lesson. For the rest of it, I kind of came back and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of practice. So I'm going to go back to my 1/2 inch bowl gouge, okay? Because this is quite an aggressive gouge, okay, from Crown, and it's high-speed steel. So, but yeah, what I'm going to try and do is once I actually clean this area up here, I may swap over to the 3/8 bowl gouge, which is a smaller flute, but it's the same profile. Okay, so basically that will give me enough. I don't want to remove too much material after I've cleaned the base up, because I'd like to just remove the bark and not take away too much timber. Otherwise the piece will just end up getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So where are we? 500. We may be able to speed up. We will speed up. 600. Okay, 600. Great question. How's it fixed? I shall show you now to make it a bit more. Let's make it a bit more engaging. So let's just lock the headstock. Stops it spinning. Okay. See here, this disc. It's called a faceplate. Okay, it's a faceplate, and you've got the outer ring. Okay, and then you've got the internal ring, which is in here. Okay. Now this chuck here, this big chunk of metal, okay, it's got jaws on it, okay, it's got four jaw chuck, it's called an SC3 chuck from Record Power. And with these jaws, okay, these teeth, what I want to do is put the teeth inside this internal ring. Okay, so we put the key in, we take the ring and we sit it on the jaws. Okay, and then we open them. Okay, we open them up. And we want that as tight as possible, okay? As tight as possible. Because we don't want that coming off, okay? As you can see, it's well and truly lodged, it's well and truly stuck. So, but yeah, there's more than one way to mount the wood to the lathe. You can use things like a worm screw. Have I got it in here? I should have it somewhere. Probably not too hand. But yeah, worm screw is just exactly like it says on the tin. It's just a screw. Is it here? No. And it sits actually in the jaws, and then basically you bore a hole, 8mm drill bit, and basically just screw the piece onto the chuck. Okay, or you can lock it between two centers. Okay, so which is from the headstock to the tailstock, and basically the tailstock is on the other side of the lathe. Let's unlock that. And this comes in, and we can lock it in between two centers like so. But because it's on the faceplate, and it's not a particularly massive piece, I don't particularly need to use that right now. So we tend to use when we're locking between centers, when we're working with much bigger pieces, which can become unstable. So, but yeah, I'm trying to reach 3,500 subscribers by the new year. So if you'd like to join me on my woodturning journey here on YouTube, I'd really appreciate it. But we're up to 600 RPM, revolutions per minute. So I didn't just start on this big lathe. I started on a smaller lathe, a mini lathe, okay? And this is a midi lathe, okay? I can't handle the midi lathe. I get 14 inches over the bed. I can rotate the headstock completely right way around. I get 21 inches over the side. So if I want to do a big platter, a big plate. So that's one reason why we work off center then. So, but yeah, 14 inches over the bed is quite adequate. So yeah, we'll crack on. 600. Just being very gentle with the cuts, okay? You've got to remember, I've got screws running through that faceplate, okay? Which are running into the piece, okay? They're running into the wood, so I don't want to come through and hit the screws from this end, okay? Some of the very beginner mistakes I made right at the very beginning was rushing, okay? Rushing and trying to speed things up basically and trying to get the piece finished as quick as possible. That's when I was making mistakes, okay? Funny you should say that. My first lathe, just sitting just the other side of the workshop, came from Axminster, and that's a benchtop mini lathe. Great company. Really great customer service from Axminster. Depends how much your budget is. Never ever go out and buy a cheap lathe. Don't ever buy a cheap lathe, because the problem people have, and I've heard it many times, is they'll buy a lathe, they'll get their tools, they'll mount their wood, and believe you me, every lathe will spin wood all day long. But as soon as you try and take your tool to the timber, it'll stop. And every time it stops, it's because the motor doesn't have enough power to spin and to cut at the same time. Okay, so you want something with adequate power. But Axminster lathes, excellent lathes, excellent. So, right, okay. I'm just going to swap over to my 3/8. Have I got it here? See, one's a lot smaller than the other, okay? Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. The Axminster is mini lathes are great for things like pens, trinket cups, rings, that kind of thing, really. But if you want to try and do much bigger stuff, then you obviously need a bigger lathe. So, hence why I upgraded. Hence why I upgraded. Right, so I'm going to come in now. I'm going to clean this area up here, just this patch here, because if you leave any of this on, basically, you try and create a tenon, it's not stable enough. It's not stable enough because this could just break off, and you don't want anything coming off. You don't want nothing breaking. So, let's get rid of that. Just being very mindful of this area here in the middle, so this is where the screws are, okay? Yes, it is. Yes. It's single phase. This just plugs into any normal UK plug socket. And what I'm on here is called the Record Power Covent Herald. Excellent lathe, excellent lathe. Sorry, I stopped the lathe when I ask questions because I don't want to be messing around with that thing spinning around. Take my arm off. What lathe tools should I get, as I have cheaper ones and they aren't any good? I tend to buy all my tools singly, okay? Never buy, well, you can buy packs of tools, okay, from Amazon, etc. The reason they're cheap is because the steel, okay, is cheap and it's quite soft. And one thing you want to always ensure when wood turning, always ensure, is they remain sharp, okay? Because trying to wood turn with dull tools is very dangerous, because like I said this before in my lives before, it's not going to cut, okay? It's not going to cut with dull tools, it's just going to bounce. It's going to bounce in the timber. And if you get a catch while that's bouncing, it's coming up, okay? And like I said, it's coming towards me, okay? So always ensure they're sharp. These come from Crown, okay? This is a 3/8 bowl gouge, okay? 3/8, which is good for tidying up. It's a very good, versatile, all-around bowl gouge, okay? Another one from Crown. Always tell them a Crown. Same handles. 1/2 inch bowl gouge. Another all-around. It's good for roughing out, okay? Exactly, you get what you pay for. You buy cheap, you buy twice. And basically, yeah, good for roughing out. So good for getting your shape, okay? Like I said, this was 1/2 a log. And it's good for knocking off edges, that kind of thing, really. It's good for hollowing. But then also, Record Power, okay, do a 3/8 bowl gouge. A little bit cheaper than Crown, but again, excellent. There's so many different tools out there for so many different reasons. You've got skew, okay, which is good for creating dovetails, which I'll get into in a second. You've got the bowl gouges, you've got bowl scraper, okay. Bowl scrapers are good for removing tool marks. So If you don't get a clean cut, the ball scraper will remove it, okay? Roughing gouges and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I was going to say, but never ever try and buy cheap tools. They don't last very long. They're good to practice on for sharpening, etc. The sharpening is always important to make sure you get it right. I was going to say, because on the bevel, okay, shiny bit, it's a 40-degree on both sides, 40, okay. So, and this is the bevel we keep in contact, and as you can see when I'm turning, I'm supporting it here, okay, in my hip, okay, not like this, okay, because if you do this and you get a catch, you're gonna hurt your shoulder. You can hurt it a lot. You can hurt your elbow, your wrist, your hands, okay. So always when you wood turning, support it with your body weight, okay. Because if it does catch you, you've got your whole body weight behind it, okay. You've got your whole body weight there, and that's going to save your shoulders. So, but you can see now I've cleaned up the base here, okay. So what my next object is to do, you can see it's oval at the moment, okay. I'm going to make this round now, okay. So we've got this area here which you're going to remove, and again on the other side. So again, push cut these out now. You've got your push cut. So again, support it, keeping that bevel on the wood, okay. And what you do, you're pushing away from yourself, okay. You want it on a, so you don't want it like this, okay, because carbide, you come in horizontal. Bowl gouge, you have them at a bit of an angle, so you can maintain that contact really. And yeah, once I've removed these sides, I'll come round and hopefully we'll put the tenon on, and then we'll flip it round and we'll hollow it, okay. We'll hollow. We don't ever core, because if we core an apple, we go all the way through. We only hollow when doing bowls, platters, that kind of thing really, because you don't want to go all the way through. That'd be pointless really. So, alright, let's crack on. Thank you very much for all the likes so far. Really appreciated. Really is appreciated. Does mean an awful lot to me. Does help the algorithm out on YouTube. So. Now this stage, stop. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it, because once you remove the timber, you don't want to keep going and going basically. Well, once you remove the bark, sorry, you don't want to keep going at it, because otherwise you're just removing material and they'll make the piece a lot smaller. So it's always a good idea to stop, start, get a good idea where you are. Now push cuts, like I said before, this way. You can also come at it from the other way, okay? Still a push cut, away from yourself, okay? Away from yourself. And coming towards me, pull cut. So you've got push, pull, okay? Pull cut is often known as a shear cut, okay? Or a pull cut, a scrape cut. So, I'll give you an example. Keep it at 600 for now. You don't want to be coming back and forward like this. So push, off, back to where you were. Push, off. Okay. Because if you're coming back and forwards on yourself, you're tearing the fibres in the wood. Okay. And it can end up a bit flaky, a bit mismatched. So yeah, you work against the grain. You're working against the grain when you're doing that, and it can really tear the fibres out in the ash, especially ash, because it's quite a deep grain. Okay. So what I'm going to do, speed up. faster it spins, okay? Faster it's spinning, the cleaner the cuts, okay? If it's slow, you're just going to have a load of lumps and bumps and just look at that. 700. Now we lose quite a lot of material when we're woodturning, quite a lot, and it's always good to have good ventilation, so you can, because when it does get dusty in here, okay, it will get dusty. We've already moved one area of the bark. We've only got a little area now to remove, okay, so I'll come around that, and then we'll put our tenon on, okay. Tenon is very important, and we'll get to that very, very shortly, okay, very, very shortly. We've still got over 130 people in the room. Welcome everybody. Hope you enjoy my live. If it's interesting, don't forget to give me a thumbs up kind of thing. And I think my most successful live, I think I got about 200 likes on it. I like to just explain the process. Try and talk about woodturning in general, because when I first started, it's like any kind of industry. Nobody's willing to tell you anything. And it's, people could be not off-putting, but it's, they can be critical, you know? It's, I think so. Basically, that's why I like to make my lives a bit more explanatory. That's one way to explain it. So, right, okay, I'm going to take this area off here. Very mindful of those screws in there. I don't want to come through and make big cuts and hit those screws, okay? Because it'll make a mess. It'll make a real mess of my gouge, and it'll also make a mess of the piece. All right, looking on that little area here, you see with ash, it's quite intricate. The characteristics of the grain, it's quite a swirly pattern, okay? It's a very swirly pattern. It's not a massive piece, but it'll be good for a nice Christmas decorative piece. Just go to 700. Stand away, always. Okay, we've nearly removed it. So I'm going to use the bowl scraper, which I showed you very short about that earlier on. So to use a bowl scraper, okay, bring your tool rest up, okay, just over halfway. Just over halfway. And these are good for removing tool marks, okay. It's like a big knife, okay, big butter knife. Put the 3/8 bolt like that. And what I want to try and do, I want to come up like this, okay. I want to give it on an angle, okay, because the cutting point on this, you need to be coming down on it, okay. So I just want to remove some of these tool marks, okay. Won't take me 2 ticks. Won't take me 2 ticks. This does not take long whatsoever. That area just to remove there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use carbide to take that out. I'm going to use carbide. Use the round tip, okay? Use the round tip. because obviously I want to maintain that sweep, okay, that curve. So I could come in with a square tip, which is more for roughing, okay, it's a roughing tip. And the square ones do tend to remove quite a lot of material, but again, I don't want to remove that sweep, that natural bowl look, okay? So come in and drop that tool rest back down so we don't need it there. So we just want to be sitting just under halfway, just over quarter, okay? So come round, Again, not being too aggressive because carbide are very, very sharp too. Okay, so you just want to just remove this area here, okay, because we don't want to leave that on because it doesn't really kind of go in with the flow of the bowl. Okay, you're still there. Okay, so I'm going to need to make more of, not an aggressive cut, but I just want to add a bit more pressure so we end up taking more material off and just gliding over, I suppose. See how I'm stopping the starting more because I know I've got my form, I've got my shape. And what I don't want to do is just keep removing loads of material. Otherwise we're going to have no bowl, no piece. So just have a look around the piece, just inspect it, just have a look at it and see how it's behaving, okay? You don't want to start cutting away and realise there's cracks in it. Because, like I said before, I've dealt with pieces before, I've not been really paying attention. You think, it's okay, we'll get past it, we'll get through it. And all of a sudden you'll hit a weak point of the fracture in the wood. That's what you need to be careful of. Or no pieces of wood come flying off at speed. No way. So, okay, we've just got a small area here. We could sand it off, but we may as well just remove it with the piece of carbide. Yeah, we will. I could use the bowl gouge, but I'm going to remove too much material doing that. You know where it is? Here. Somebody said in my live the other day, they said, oh God, you make it look easy. Believe you me, it takes practice. It does take practice. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. Okay, I know I've got this area here, but I'm not too concerned about that because we can literally just take that off when we start sanding. I want to bring the tool rest back onto its face value, okay? And hit it like straight on, okay? Okay, we'll leave it there. And I'm going to swap from the round, and I go to the square, okay? Round and square. Yeah, both have their purposes. So, we'll keep it at 700. No, we won't. 815, okay? Now we're spinning, okay? don't know if that's pretty clear there, okay? That. Look at that tenon, okay, this little disc, okay, at the foot. And I'll remove that flat edge here, okay, because obviously I've got the sweep and it stops here where I've taken that cut in, okay. So what I'd like to do is blend that back into the piece. And one way I'm going to do that is, if I can find it, 3/8 bowl gouge, okay. Could use a round tipped carbide, just blend it back in, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to blend the lip, this flat edge here, okay. You can see that there. It's, yeah, I want to blend it back into the piece, okay. Unlock that. There's no bearings left to lock that, stop and keep it going. It's 29 likes. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate that. Okay, we've got our shape now, we've got our form, we've got our foot, we've got our tenon, and maybe even make that tenon a bit smaller. I think I will. Okay. And what I'm going to do now, take the skew, okay, skew. Let's have a great our dovetail. There we are, it doesn't take too long at all. It does not take long at all. Okay, we've got our shape. Okay. Not bad for half a log, is it? Not bad for half a log. But I practice all the time on with my wood turning, but not different form, different shape, different type of wood, that kind of thing really. Because every piece is always going to teach you something else, okay? So again, open the jaws, tenon in. Okay. You want to over tighten it, okay? Because if you over tighten it, you're going to rip those fibres, okay, in the wood, and you've got a chance of snapping the tenon off. Drill driver. Otherwise, I'd be here all day trying to unscrew these. Yeah, it's locked. Okay. I know I've just dropped a screw, but I'll never find it. I will find it somewhere. All right, okay. So that's too high, bring it down, bring it down. Still 100 people in the room. Welcome everybody. Right, I'm going to sharpen this 1/2 inch bowl gouge, okay? And say because ash blunts tools very quickly. It's so dense and so hard. So I'm going to resharpen this now. I know it looks sharp, but I want it completely sharp. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to swing. I'm going to swing basically, not like that, but like this, okay? I'm coming in. So basically I'll explain. Less than 10 seconds to sharpen it. Sharp, okay? Now it's sharp. Now we're sharp. So I want to be literally dead center, okay? Dead center. If you're too high, you're going to be cutting up here, and you don't want to be doing that, and you don't want to be cutting too low because the wood's just going to catch it, okay? Hi RG, nice to see you back, buddy. But yeah, basically I've got the other half of the ash which I turned yesterday, and yeah, I've got some exotic woods over there to try, but when I do turn those, it's going to be a pre-recorded video because of the toxins in that wood. Well, not toxins, but the dust. So we're going to probably start hollowing around about 700. Okay. Okay, let's have a quick look. How's it looking? Ooh, I've got a knot in here. I've got a bit of a knot here, so you need to be a little bit mindful of that. I can probably take a bit more from the depth. I'm going to go a little bit deeper, but I don't want to use a 1/2 inch, okay, because I'm removing rather a lot of material there. So I'm going to go back to my 3/8 bow gouge, and we're going to sharpen that up as well. So, bear with me 1 second. Okay, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. That big crash you just heard, then there's the jig coming out of the pro edge. So, tidy up that rim. Get a bit deeper. Okay, what we're going to do, I'm going to put the jig back on the, we're going to just put the jig back on the pro edge, because if anything, I've just blunted it. I'm not sharpened it, so let's just screw that back on there. Apologies in advance. Yeah. There we are. Now we should be sharp. Right, okay. Let's try again. Well, I've gone to that profile. I'll put it down. Put it all down, isn't it? That's it, Dan. Drop all your tools. Okay. So you carbide out of their room, they're placed in my workshop, and sometimes they're great at getting to cuts, which can be quite awkward. So, okay, I'm quite happy with the depth. I'm quite happy with the wall thickness. I'm going to say it's not a chunky bowl, but I think with each bowl I make, sometimes I'll leave them with a big chunky rim. Sometimes I make them very thin, and depends on kind of what I'm trying to achieve, what the look I'm trying to go for really. Some are better than others. There's an awful lot of things I want to try turning. Okay, there's lots of things I want to try. Epoxy, I want to try rings, I want to try pens. And what I'm trying to avoid here is to turn it into a funnel. Really don't want to turn it into a funnel. So just being very, very gentle. Okay. We've got 67 in the room. Again, I'm sure when I'm coming on the live at the moment. I'm not sure whether I should just start pre-recording what people would rather see. They'd rather see pre-recorded stuff or just live stuff where I can explain the process and go into more detail really with the tools I'm using, the cuts I'm making, etc. That'd be really helpful feedback. Because I've tried to do some pre-recorded stuff, and I don't mind doing the pre-recorded stuff. It's just the editing and all that stuff. So, what I'd like to do. Nope, that's 120. So I'm going to use that straight away. $80 grit. Okay. 80 grit. Move that out of the way. Before I think about sanding, just bear with me 1 second, ladies and gents. Oh, I just move that tripod again. It's my favourite thing to do at the moment. Oh, done it again. Oh, apologies. I'll move you back now, 1 second. I'll move you back now, 1 second. Is that where we were? Sure it was. Right, okay, we got rid of all that dust. Move that out of the way. Now I usually power sand, but my collar on my wheel driver actually broke off, so I need to get some more. So we're going to give this a sand down now. and hopefully we're going to try and clean it up, get it nice and smooth. And before I start, we'll put on the air cleaner. One fancy grip. I think it's a knot I can feel in there. Knot somewhere. It is the knot. It is the knot. Very, very dusty. Very, very dusty. Okay, I've got a finish in the other room. I'm going to go and grab it very shortly. I've never used it before. Never used it before, so if any of the wood turners are in the live today, and I'm doing something incorrectly with the finish I'm going to use in a minute, please let me know. For goodness sake, because I can only improve. Leave that on the camera on. Okay. Okay. Before we continue, press it back on. Apologies if I bumped the camera. Can I bring it around that way? I can, that's better. Well done now. Knock that off. Okay. Alright, bear with me for 1 second. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Really great air cleaner, but damn, it gets on my nerves. Right, shellac sanding sealer. Never used it before, it's water based, and I've also got some beeswax polish. So both, well, from Furniture Clinic. This one comes from Pars. So never used either. Never used either. So if I get this wrong, apologies in advance. Well, it's not bag of rags. Yeah. Just a small bag will do. I'll do. A bit much. Oh, a little whiff to it. There's a bit of a whiff. So with ash being such a deep grain, you know, I've heard something see that's quite good for it. Don't drop it. Evaporates very, very quickly. Well, it's been water based, I suppose it's quite a good good idea. How's it looking? Hopefully alright. Hopefully alright. Get it in that grain there. Apologies whilst it's taking me a couple of minutes to get this on. And a good application. Quite a good application of it. So okay, we'll just let that sit there for a second. Now beeswax polish, Furniture Clinic. Definitely never used any of that before. So we'll use it. I thought it'd have an odour to it, but it doesn't. So, in fact, there's that other bag out. But thank you for everyone who's bearing with me. I really do appreciate it. So, excuse good for. Click on a pair of scissors. Okay, so I imagine we just get a nice serving of that on there. Looks like butter. So, let's see how we get on with it. I'm not going to apply this at 700 reps anyway. Okay, that just goes on different. I like to try different things. I've tried tamper sheen, I've tried Danish oil, finishing oil, walnut oil, tongue oil. One thing I was told to do is buy some linseed oil and mix it with the beeswax. So you're all sticking with me. Thank you very much. I wouldn't say it's dulled it, but I'm going to speed up so we can buff it in. Quite thick, so I don't know if I applied too much. Find an area of this that's not where it hasn't got on there, so use your fingers. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. It doesn't feel like the grain is raised as much, you know. I think that's really done justice to the piece actually. I thought it'd feel quite oily, but it doesn't. It feels quite. There's no odour. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. I'm very happy with that. So we'll put that. I'll open it up. What I'd like to do is remove this tenon, okay? But overall, apart from this knot here, which is this one thing I like about ash, this intricate grain. It looks like some kind of map, but I ended up seeing a lot of end grain when I first started, and I didn't know the difference between end grain and side grain, which was quite, well, it was a big learning curve, and I never understood why most of my bulbs were splitting and warping and this, that, and the other, and it wasn't until it actually explained to me what I was doing wrong, that's when I decided that I'm going to start just turning side grain. That's why I like the intricate grain, okay, the intricate grain. Now as for this Longworth chuck, I mean, it's been an absolute game changer, and yeah, I think it's an excellent piece of kit, helps me remove that tenon. The only difference is it needs a better design system on it. Oh, there we are. Yesterday I spent a lot of time after my live removing tenons. Crazy chuck. Yeah, it's a great chuck. Longworth. I've got cold jaws as well. Don't get on with them. Just do not get on with them. This self-centers the bowl, so see the pegs, and basically see it centers it. So excellent chuck. Come in various sizes, and basically when we've got it in there like so, oh, nearly, we just want to ensure it's like doing a car tire, replacing a wheel. We don't do them up. one by one by one by one. Yeah, top one. Okay. I'm just working round, but I'm doing every one. In fact, let's look at that. Let me just give me 1 second. For the 10-inch, I paid £110. £110 for the 10-inch. You can get much bigger ones, which I wish I had ordered. Wish I had ordered a 12-inch or a 14-inch. We're gonna do bigger bowls. Yeah, we live and learn. We live and learn. But this has been an absolute game changer. This chuck has, because I used to saw the tenon off, and it used to look very untidy. Turn it around so I can get to the other side. So I don't want to do them all up in unison. I want to do them up from left to right, right to left, a bit like a star. So you get an even proportion all the way around, all the way around. But yeah, I've been experimenting with lots of different things basically on this channel. Never turned a ring before, never turned a pen, never done epoxy. Some of the things I'd like to try. Have recently turned some exotics, some Bilio. Got Tanga to turn, and we've got some other bits and pieces that are lined up for the channel. What I'd really like somebody to answer is whether or not they'd like to see more pre-recorded stuff, or they prefer to see me go live, explain the process, or I'd like to see a bit of everything, a bit of both, and try and give the channel a bit more variety. So sort of 45 likes. Thank you very much. Very much. The only thing with this chuck is basically we don't want to go above 600, maybe 650 tops RPM. Definitely not. I was going to say it says recommended 600, but I've got up to 650. A bit ballsy, but yeah, I think just any faster than that, I don't know. I think they could do the better system with the locking mechanism on the back instead of having wing nuts all the way around. Handle would be good. Handle would be good. I'll lock it, but maybe future. So, yeah, it's not going nowhere. Let's give it a one last turn. Oh, that one's not even done. Because it's got rubber on the bongs. It's not going to damage the piece, okay? It's not going to damage. So, I'd like to keep the foot. I'd like to keep this foot, so it's got a base to sit on. I just want to move the tenon. So, tad low there. There we are. There we are. Bring that down to 600, that's fine. That's fine. Use the square roughing tip for this, okay? Square roughing tip. You can see it's quite happily sitting there now, so. Okay. Can we just what's there? Oh, still got a little raised little tiny area in the middle. Okay. Thank you for all those that have stuck with me through this live. I say it's been quite I say it's been challenging because Ash is one of my favourites to turn. It's just something different, isn't it? Something different. Ooh, excuse me. Trying to 240 then, aren't we? And one thing when sanding this, you've got to be careful of these pegs. First time I started turning it, I kind of got my fingers a bit too close and it came round. Watch it, go watch your pegs. Go watch your pegs. I can still feel it's raised. I can still feel it raised. It's only a small area. It's a very small area. I'm not a perfectionist, but I like it to be right. Exactly what I was looking for the 8th hole gouge. That's the one I've got to reprofile, isn't it? Half inch will do. Being very, very gentle. Very, very gentle. Especially with a half inch. Okay, I've got a nice little bowl there. Wouldn't want to ruin it at this stage. There we go. Okay. I'll go 120 right here, I did. Now if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. It does really massively help the channel out. And saying it doesn't cost anything. And hopefully we can get up to 3,500 before the new year. We're nearly there. We're nearly there. Okay. What I like to do is take a tiny bit more of that beeswax, just to make sure we get the base covered as well, otherwise I'll be kicking myself later on when it comes off the lathe when I do it before. And there we are. I quite like this foot design, and say it's my good friend Mike Holton actually I've seen in some of his videos, and we chat quite often really, and yeah, he kind of showed me a different way really of not taking the tenon completely off, well the foot should I say, but making it a bit more presentable. So I think it looks a lot better than just having a circular disc really, rather than centre out, leave a 1/8 of an inch and just have the ring instead of the whole disc, if that makes sense. So there we are. Definitely needs blocking. I'm not going to speed up faster than 6 because it advises you not to, and I don't fancy that bowl coming off. So there we are, ladies and gents. I think that's that. Nope, nothing at all. I'm just going to use clean, dry, non-abrasive cotton. I'm just going to fluff that out. Don't want it being tacky. It's sticky. I was quite surprised with the beeswax. I assumed there was going to be an odour to it, but there we are. Here we are. Okay, I'm very happy with that. Very, very happy with that. Okay, we'll try to take it off there. I was going to say, we'll take it out the chuck first. But yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed the live today. I know this one's dragged on a bit. I was going to say, this is why I keep asking, because my lives tend to go on for longer than expected. And that's just me just explaining my process, that kind of thing. If I pre-recorded it, a lot of this would be cut out. And yeah, I probably wouldn't go into so much detail, but it's coming off. It's coming off. What I'm thinking about getting my hands on is a texturing tool. Just gives the bowls a bit more detail, if that makes sense. Something else to try. So, but there we are, folks. My nice bowl of ash. And there we are. There we are. It's quite annoying there's not. I was going to say, I wouldn't say it ruins the aesthetics, but I may put some CA glue in there just to make it a bit. You can see it on the other side, it's coming through the other side as well. So I could put some CA glue in there and just tidy it up. But overall, I'll give it a quick measure. It's not massive, about the same size as a cereal bowl. 7 inches, okay. 7 inches. Thank you very much, RG. Appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate that. Say, we've taken the foot off. I had the tenon. We've just made this disc now, basically, instead of having the circular disc on the bottom. So I think it makes it a bit more aesthetically pleasing. What would it be? 7? Yeah. 7 by 2. Another 7 by 2. I did a 7 by 2 the other day. So overall, I'm quite pleased with it. And say, but I may do some pre-recorded stuff in say, so it's a bit quicker. It's a bit quicker, apart from me having to edit. But yeah, overall, it's been a pleasure jumping on today. And say thank you for everybody who stuck by me through this live. I know most people are busy on a Monday, especially with the bills Christmas. And but yeah, I can only improve as a woodturner. I can only get better and better and better. And sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I go on too much, explain too much. And but if you have been watching from the start and basically you're on about getting into woodturning, please be careful. Like I said, I'm not a tutor. I'm not an expert by any means. And if you do want to get into woodturning and you've got a woodturner in your area, highly recommend going to have a chat and basically just try and get an understanding of some of the basics really, and take it from there, because it's still a piece of machinery and you can get hurt if you're not careful. So but overall, beeswax has turned out beautiful. No odour to it, no odour whatsoever. But I will be trying different things. I will be trying a lot more different things. I've got my pen banks arrived, I've got my pen kits, I've got my pen handle. So that's probably another project for another day. But thank you, like I said, once again, for everybody who joined me on this journey today. If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does mean an awful lot to me. And hopefully I shall see you all back in the next one. But thanks for watching YouTube. See you again. Take care. Have a great Monday. Bye for now.